Yeah. Good morning, Gene.
And we're in the communications business, and you know what the worst thing that we do amongst ourselves?
What? Don't communicate? Yeah. Yeah.
We're really bad at it, and we're supposed to be in the communication business.
Yep.
So that's supposed to be updated with a new ad that's supposed to start today, talking about the exhibit.
Right.
Yeah, and somebody extended the date through the 14th. And I'm like, why? Why'd you do that?
Because that effectively ends on Thursday, doesn't it?
Well, the ad I'm going to replace it with will run through the 14th.
Yeah, right.
But the one that I put in there needed to end at 4:30 Monday. And that's how I had it dated.
Yep.
And that's how I had it set. And I come in this morning, and there it is.
Playing.
Why is it playing? Who messed with it?
Not me.
Somebody saw the name on it, and they said, oh, this probably is supposed to run through the 14th.
Maybe you're a sleepwalker.
No, I didn't do that.
You know, it was in my house growing up, we lived with another person, not me. So I bet you anything, not me did it.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Not me. Who did this? Not me.
That was an episode of MASH. Do you remember with Tuttle?
Oh, I remember MASH. I don't know if I remember that episode, but
yeah, that was a alter ego of Hawkeye.
Oh, not me.
It was not Hawkeye. It was Tuttle.
Oh, yeah.
Tuttle did it. So
Tuttle.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's how they did it. How you guys doing?
That one. Good. How are you? We are doing good.
It's gonna be a hot one today.
It's already pretty warm out there.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All the air conditioners working?
As for now. Yeah. Knock on wood.
I had to reset one, and then I have at our place in Roswell, I have the air conditioning people. We're on the list.
The AC went out at Kevin's office yesterday.
Yeah.
In Kevin's office, yeah. So they were all hot. 85 degrees in the building. Ooh. That's when you start dozing off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, his riding buddy, they drive together to Roswell every day. He came in shorts today. Just in case.
Because it's still not working?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess they'll find out when they get there.
And all these AC people are really, really busy right now. So.
Oh, yeah.
Working long hours to get it done. So.
Wow.
Well, what do we want to talk about today? I'm not surprised by this Supreme Court decision. This was in the Roswell paper. Not this one. This one. State Supreme Court ruled Monday there is no constitutional or statutory requirement to compensate businesses for financial losses due to the emergency public health orders during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Wow.
Unanimous decision. The ruling in favor of Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham scuttles about 20 lawsuits against her administration. So another big win for her with the Supremes.
Yep.
The original plaintiffs argued that aggressive health restrictions from the administration constituted a regulatory taking, much like the taking of land for public works projects. The governor urged the Supreme Court to block the lawsuits. Occupancy limits and closure of certain categories of businesses, while certainly harsh, this is the Supreme Court, in their economic effects, are directly tied to the reasonable purpose of limiting public's exposure to the potentially life-threatening and communicable disease. So, so that ruling came down yesterday.
Didn't hear that.
Not sure how many of our local businesses were participating in that, the ones that are left.
Yeah, wow. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, well, I heard you say this morning that they're going to let teams, or maybe the coach said, they're going to let teams stay overnight.
They're hoping. That's what they understand, is that there's a possibility that if the districts allow it, that they'll be able to stay overnight when they go up to play the baseball state championship, if they get that far. So bowling didn't get to do that, did they?
I don't think so.
No, they had to run up, bowl. Yeah. They won.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
The state FFA convention is virtual because they're not allowed to spend the night. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Virtual kind of again? Isn't that the second year?
Second year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they can't have it in Texas.
I argued for that. I guess not. I guess not.
Yeah. So that's tough. I mean, I can see the argument for considering it like a taking. You know,
Yeah, I can too.
You know,
Yeah.
this is my private business. I've complied with all the rules and regulations and licensing requirements. You're going to come in and tell me I have to shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been some grant programs.
Yes, there have.
There were the PPP loans. I think there's been some SBA grants and loans that have been available. But I guess for some businesses that isn't enough or wasn't enough, because we've lost a few businesses over this.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
so. Well, New Mexico has for sure. The hotels have struggled mightily, and I feel like the restaurants were a little unfairly targeted. But
Yeah. So unfortunately, that lawsuit got dismissed by the Supreme Court yesterday. So
I guess no surprise.
no, like I said, no surprise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, well, the governor announced,
The governor announced. We're not surprised by that, right?
right? Yep. And the people that were yelling, protesting off in
Yeah.
the distance, I guess, are lizard people.
Hey, they're owning it. They are owning it. What do they say? Adaptable in harsh conditions. Lizards are in some cultures known as the, what did it say? Something like the king or the
Big survivalists.
wise.
or
Yeah.
whatever. It's kind of funny. You should have seen some of the images that Aaron had on his slideshow yesterday. It's
Oh,
a pretty good
I'm sure.
Lizard slideshow.
Lizardy, very lizardy.
Yeah.
We'll be seeing shirts and
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the rise of the lizard people, and
sounds like a movie.
Why did she call them lizards? Do we know?
well, she's just not this is my opinion.
Okay.
I've never met her. I've never met her. But what I am told is she's not a very nice person. Vindictive. I've heard that word used by a number of different people in different conversations. It's one of those descriptors that gets reused by different people different times. She's vindictive. And so she probably didn't appreciate, and I wouldn't appreciate that. You're making your big announcement. You're going to run for re-election, and there's a bunch of yahoos over here screaming and yelling off in the distance, and that can be very disrupting and discouraging. You know, that's supposed to be a
Your moment.
big
Yeah.
moment thing, and so she just called them lizard people.
What did she call the people who were protesting when Trump came?
They were.
Oh.
She didn't call them lizard people.
She didn't call them anything. She's like, they had their right to.
Yeah.
I don't think. I feel like
Right.
they were just peaceful protesters and whatnot.
So are we going to have? We're going
So-
to be at all political events. Are we going to be serving chicken but calling it lizard? And
Hey, we did that.
did we?
We have done that before.
Yeah.
At our lizard rally. Oh, we have had a lizard rally before.
We have.
You see? So.
Wait a minute. Lizards are
We're gonna-
endangered species, right?
Well, they didn't. They didn't make the list, but there was a
Oh.
negotiation, and you know how all that goes.
That's right,
We had
that's
the
right.
little lizard rally, and I'm sure they'll be back on the endangered species list soon. Or back
Oh,
up
not
on-
now. Not now. They'll be. They'll have lizard hunts and all that. kind of-
Plenty of them. Yeah, it's okay to hunt lizards now year round.
Yeah. You're right
Yeah.
though. But when Trump came to Albuquerque,
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah. Well, I found it interesting. I'm trying to figure out why lizards. Was that just the first thing she could think of?
Yeah,
It's like
that's my question too. Like, why?
a little. It's kind of like when a little kid tries to insult their big brother or sister, and they just can't. They just come up with some.
Silly name.
I think you've
a
nailed it
lizard.
right there.
Or is there some meaning behind it that I don't understand?
Yeah.
Like, does lizard mean something to her? Is there?
Yeah. Why would she call them lizard people?
Maybe she has a phobia of them.
Well,
she's
she's been
scared.
in New Mexico long enough. I would think. you
Right.
would
That's true.
Not be totally surprised when you see a lizard or a snake or, you know.
Hey, lizards are so cool too. Like, maybe she didn't really mean it as an insult.
Hey.
Maybe that's not what she meant.
Yeah.
Lizards are beautiful and fast and smart. They can live in any conditions. They're
Yeah. I don't know.
they're wily creatures.
but I
They're-
don't know why she said that.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, at first I thought it was a joke, but then when I started really seeing it and everything, I was like, what? I don't, I'm struggling to understand how that exactly was, what the target were. What was the insult there?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What did
That's
that mean
my
to her?
question, too.
Well,
Yeah, very
Anyway.
funny.
we will probably never know because
Probably
she's not
not.
going to tell us, you know.
Not gonna explain it.
I'm not going to call
Yeah.
her up. And if you do get a hold of the spokesman or whatever, he's going to say, well, it was in the memo. Didn't you read the memo?
Yeah.
You know, that's his answer to, I have questions. Well, it's in the memo. Read the memo and all that. Well,
Yeah.
it's a little disappointing on the state deal, and it really is kind of disappointing because there didn't seem to be much pushback during the legislative session. You know, in some states across the country, legislators have actually
Yeah.
passed legislation and overridden governor vetoes to pull back on some of this
Yeah.
power that the governors used against the people. Not everywhere, but there have been some examples of that. And we're not the only state that's dealing with this kind of battle back and forth between the people
Right.
and the leadership. California certainly's got their mess. The governor in Oregon is doing a lot of that kind of stuff. Michigan has had a lot of issues with their governor and
Yes.
health orders. There's another case there where she was out there, you know, do as I say, not as I do. And she was out there having a party with a whole bunch of people that is supposedly not allowed in Michigan. And they got caught. And that's the other thing I don't understand. You would think you would be aware of the fact that people are keeping an
Are
eye
watching?
on and
Yeah.
watching what you're doing. I mean, there's Richard Branson there down at the spaceport launch, and he's got his binoculars and a big old smile on his face. And I knew he had a smile on his face because he didn't have a mask on. And there's Richardson and our governor, masks on. And I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
But she didn't have her mask on when she gave her speech.
That's right.
Why not?
Well, even during the pandemic, she would take it off when she was talking.
Yeah.
Ah.
Put it right back on.
And then put it right
Did
back
she
on.
have it on when she walked out, or did we see that?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
didn't. It was not on my list of things to do that day.
No. Well, she's vaccinated.
I'm
I'm
assuming
assuming.
she is. Yeah.
We think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know? Speaking of the vaccinations, we are not number one anymore.
Are we not?
We're number two. I
in
heard
terms
you
of
say that.
not being vaccinated.
So we're on
we're-
the low. We're among the lowest.
We're
We are
32nd
the
out of 33 counties.
we're 32 out of 33.
Our county. Oh, I thought
Yes.
you were talking about our state. Okay.
No, Eddy County,
So who's the lowest?
Curry County.
Oh.
They're
Oh.
at 33.4% fully
That's
vaccinated.
interesting.
We're at 33.9% fully
Ooh,
vaccinated.
edging them out.
Yes.
Okay.
There are 8 counties that have 60% plus.
And they are?
I didn't write it down.
Oh, you didn't.
Los Alamos is number one. They're like at 80%. Los Alamos
They're
County.
all in.
They're all in Los Alamos County. But there are 8 counties at 60 plus, 2 that are within percentage points of 60. So
So what does that mean for us, July 1?
according to the governor, once we hit 60% fully vaccinated,
We as a county or we as a state? Like, can we
Quit
count on Albuquerque to carry
asking
us?
these questions of clarification because I'm going to ask that question of Stenicky,
Oh, okay.
and he's going to say,
Read the
"It's in
memo."
But it wasn't in the memo.
Yeah, I'm confused about that.
Yeah. You catching gnats?
There was something floating right here. Oh, I
Catch
got
it with your tongue, Jessica.
Nope.
Like a lizard person.
Like a lizard. Protein for breakfast.
Anyway, that's funny. She said we have to get 60% fully vaccinated, and then she would take off all the restrictions. Then they said, well, not when we get to 60%, but we have to wait the 2 weeks after we get to 60% for us to be considered fully vaccinated.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and we meaning, we means we don't know what we mean.
We don't know if that means the entire
The state
just
or
the
county by
state
county.
or county by county.
Right,
But
because as a state, we're
we're
there.
at 66.2 on the first, 56.7 on the second dose.
And we have a month. Or about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we know.
Okay, so I sat in a Zoom meeting again. Every Monday I've got a Zoom meeting. And
Speaking of that, did you see, I don't know, you probably didn't watch the Apple keynote. Apparently Apple's taking FaceTime and adopting a bunch of Zoom features.
oh, really?
To
Of
FaceTime.
course they are.
So, because I'm watching the thing and they're talking about the different features they just added, and I looked at Lana. I said, "You know where they got that?" She said, "Zoom." Yep.
Zoom.
Yep.
Yeah. And hopefully we're mostly done with Zoom, but Zoom has come in handy for our chamber execs meetings because
Okay.
that does help keep us all connected when it would be otherwise impossible. So we used to meet twice a week. We've just moved that schedule to once a week.
Okay.
So Mondays, but PED, Representative PED joins us
Okay.
pretty regularly.
That's the public
Education Department.
Okay.
And we were told that there yesterday that 4 schools have had to shut down since reopening.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember which they were. Clovis, Espanol, or
Talking about districts.
El Dorado.
4 districts have had to shut down.
I think 4 schools.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they have a roadmap 2.0, which is a revised roadmap to reopening schools with COVID safe measures. So he said, if you haven't seen that, you should see it. So ask your district or whatever. Ask Mr. Knoll about it on the radio, maybe.
Okay. Because I think that came out
and-
after we talked last Wednesday.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there was a 1.0 that has now been revised to the 2.0 or if the 2.0 came out. Yeah, I'm not sure when it came out. But so they're looking at how to open schools safely in the fall with COVID, COVID safe measers. So
Did you get the
it's not
impression
over.
whether or not they've made a commitment to being fully open in the fall, or
I wouldn't have called it a commitment just by what
Okay.
he said.
Okay.
And I'm sure he's being cautious with his words there, but he did say that that's their goal is to have a full in-person reopening. He also did say that the online system was so successful and they got so much positive feedback that
I'm sorry.
there's a look of surprise coming from
you got
the
these
rest of
weird
the room.
lizard eyes, Jessica, when I said that. Did get weird lizard eyes.
As
Okay.
a parent of children who
Yeah.
had to do the online stuff, you seem surprised by that.
Yeah.
So they want to keep that system in place for people who choose to basically homeschool. And I don't know if that's really to keep people out of school or to swoop in on the homeschool market, and be a public
'Cause there
resource
have
competitor.
Been some homeschools, more that have popped up
Oh yeah.
around
Yeah.
than there were prior to the pandemic. That's interesting because when you talk to some of the educators, the kids that did well online most likely were kids that did well in school, either their motivation or their parents' motivation or the combination. If they were well-motivated, good students in school, they were good students online. And there were a lot of kids that need a little help and encouragement that benefit from being in school that don't necessarily get the help and encouragement when they're doing the online stuff. So I don't know what they mean by
I can
it
imagine.
worked so well that everybody was happy
Yeah,
with it.
I can imagine that system may work for somebody, but I can't imagine that being a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
It just didn't. It raised a red flag for me. It didn't sound right to me, but.
Was it good for the teachers union? Were they happy with the
He wasn't very
remote
specific about
churching?
who answered the survey questions.
Yeah. And they have had the survey out. Our school district even encouraged people to, fill out the surveys, parents and...
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. There have been a lot of surveys, and I think it's important to fill those out. You hope that our district, and I believe our district, if they're seeing the raw data they would be honest about what they're seeing with themselves and with us. But when you get to the state level, it'd be a little harder to trust them, I'd say. You can take any raw data and manipulate it to tell the story you want, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that was very interesting, and I'd be curious. Of course, I don't have a child in the system, but there are children I love who are in the system, and it'll be interesting to see how that develops over the summer.
Because I know one of the concerns that the schools have is that trying to encourage parents who had kids that they took out of the school system to bring them back and put them in the school system. In talking with Mr. Null on the air, they went and they're hiring their teaching positions based on the majority of the kids that
having
left
them
back, because they didn't want to get caught not having the positions filled if indeed they all come back. But if they don't come back, then they're going to have to make some tough decisions going into next year, not this coming school year, but the following year.
Right.
As far as their staffing is concerned.
That's right. I know there are a lot of open positions around the state. I understand. I did learn at the FFA convention that there are a dozen ag teacher positions open all across the state, and they feel like that's just the beginning. So they're worried about who and how to hire.
Yeah.
Are those people gone or just done with a profession, or did they leave the state? What happened?
Yeah. And we talked about this. We've talked about it. Other people have talked about it. I've babbled on about it over the year. This is the beginning of the long-term effect of the COVID-19 shutdowns. If you beat up on an industry and tell them they're filthy, dirty, polluting, and we need to replace you, if you keep schools locked down, if you do keep businesses locked down, you go after restaurants, like you said, and make it tough on restaurants, some people are just going to say,
never mind,
I'm done with it.
Yep. Yeah.
There's other places that they can live where they don't have to deal with that constant barrage of disappointment and hatred from above, and that's what happens when you just carry things on. And Abbott over in Texas had a period of time there late last year where what he was saying and what our governor was saying was very similar.
Yes.
He took a lot of heat for that.
He sure did.
Ours got a lot of praise for that. And he sure swung his attitude around and changed things.
He did. And the net result in terms of health and wellness of his population is a wash, right?
Yeah.
Compared to New Mexico, it's...
Yeah, the positivity rates, the mortality rates, there's not... You can't point at one and say, oh, well, they must have been open or they must have been closed.
They skyrocketed, right.
You can't see any real difference between the two, but you see a lot of happy, smiling faces going to ball games and eating in restaurants and going to movies and stuff like that.
I saw, the Trump campaign that said Make America Great, right?
Right.
Well, I've been seeing shirts that say Make America Texas. Or Make America Florida.
I know.
The open states,
Yeah.
My son went to a movie. He was in Texas recently, and he went to a movie. Mm-hmm. And he actually called me. I hadn't seen him in 2 weeks. He called me and said, I went to a movie in a movie theater. He's like, you cannot imagine. He was so serious, too. He said, you can't imagine how liberating that felt. Mm-hmm. He said it was crazy. There were people there, and we ate snacks, and we watched a movie. I mean, he was like, it was such a big deal for him. And, those are just things that we have taken for granted, I mean, it's just crazy.
It is, and it's sad. And so now you see that in some of the job openings that are going unfilled in all kinds of industries and endeavors, trying to get people to come to New Mexico. And I'm sure the first question the recruiter gets is, well, can I go to the movie? Artesia is different because our theater's closed, but, can I go to the movie in your town? Well, no. And if there's anything other than yes, say, all right, we'll think about it, which is the universal no.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I can't imagine her not opening us up just because it is election season. I mean,
Well, it's getting ready to happen, that's for sure.
but who knows?
You know, she changed the red to green to turquoise to yellow to paisley map right before the basketball tournament. I can only imagine the amount of pressure she was getting from economic factors there in Albuquerque over that kind of stuff. I don't know. I seriously, I do not understand. Our people, Dr. Scrace and Dr. Collins, have to be seeing the same data and the same trends and the same information that they're seeing in Texas and they're seeing in Florida and some other states, and how it's being interpreted differently. I don't understand it. You know, and then late night talk shows are a waste of time now. I saw where the one on ABC said, compared Florida to, what do you compare Florida to? He compared it to North Korea or something like that. I forget what the comparison was, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, you're an idiot.
How does that make sense?
It doesn't make any sense. Florida is open and they're not seeing anything again, the trends, the data is pretty much similar wherever you go. So I don't know. It's very frustrating. Can we take a break?
Sure.
Is that okay with you?
Let's take a break.
All right, we'll do this and be right back. Hey, Bulldog fans.